Russian drone operators captured several ATVs in the village of Sofivka. Precision strikes were carried out. Russian VT-40 drone operators spotted 5 Ukrainian soldiers during a night attack and flew directly towards them. 2 soldiers appear to be pulling something resembling a baby carriage or a handcart. What could be inside? A Ukrainian soldier ran out onto the road from among the trees. The drone in standby mode caught up with him. "This is Pokrovsk." Then 2 other Ukrainian soldiers who came to evacuate the man also became targets of the Russian drone in standby mode.
Don't forget to leave your opinion about the video in the comments, subscribe, and like.
A Russian FPV drone heading towards Krasnoarmysk detected an armored infantry carrier vehicle belonging to the rapidly advancing Ukrainian forces. After striking it several times, the crew parked the vehicle in a corner and withdrew. After a few FPV drones, the armored vehicle disappeared. The Southern Military Group continues its active operations. In the direction of Konstantinovka, Russian reconnaissance units identified an enemy stronghold and carried out precision strikes using FPV UAVs. Jaran-2 UAVs struck an energy infrastructure facility in Podolsk, Odessa region, last night.
О, блядь, ох, ё-моё. Это, блядь, это может... Где-то полиция, где-то там, может быть, вырубили, свет вырубился. Погасили нам свет.
Zaporizhzhia Front. Objective monitoring of combat operations conducted by Russian battalion operators to destroy the Ukrainian Armed Forces UAV command center in the village of Stepnohirsk. The ZU-23 calculations in the West Group's area of responsibility yielded an impressive result. The modified setup hit the air target on the first shot. An important point: this is not an expensive missile, such as a single Patriot air defense missile costing 4 million dollars, but an old Soviet anti-aircraft gun known to every soldier. While the Ukrainian armed forces and their Western commanders spend millions of dollars on advanced technology systems, our soldiers effectively solve problems using proven methods. Cheap ammunition or expensive missiles, and it works. A striking lesson in efficiency. Sometimes relying on the classics is easier and more reliable than chasing after trendy technologies. Footage of the destruction of Ukrainian armed forces firing positions by FPV UAVs belonging to the 51st Airborne Division, part of the Central Forces Group of the Special Operations Forces, in the Krasnoarmysk direction. Objective control footage obtained in real time confirmed that all enemy targets detected were destroyed. These drones, capable of dropping munitions, can destroy targets in areas inaccessible to FPV drones. Sumy direction. A reconnaissance team from the Zala unit of the Rubicon Center discovered a mobile anti-aircraft gun belonging to the Ukrainian Armed Forces mounted on a Mercedes-Benz Geländewagen 250 GD Wolf vehicle. The target was hit with a Lancet air defense munition. The distance from the launch point was 72 kilometers. Paratroopers from the Ivanovo Airborne Forces destroyed a Ukrainian Armed Forces surveillance UAV located on the right bank of the Dnieper River. Don't forget to join our Telegram group. A vehicle belonging to Ukrainian forces broke down on the way to Sumy. One of his comrades was evacuating the vehicle when he was spotted by a Russian FPV drone. The men quickly fled into the forest. The vehicle was destroyed. Kupiansk direction. A vehicle belonging to the Ukrainian Armed Forces was destroyed by an FPV UAV while in motion. Russian Armed Forces fiber-optic drone operators are destroying Ukrainian Armed Forces ground-based robotic systems. These robots are used for many different purposes. The ones seen in the video are only transporting supplies to positions. The heroic parachute units of the 76th Guards Airborne Division transferred from the Serebryansky Forest near Kremina to the Orakovskoye tactical direction in the Verbovoye and Rabotino settlements area. The paratroopers of the 76th Guards Airborne Division were transferred from the Serebryansky Forest near Kremina to the Orakovskoye tactical direction and immediately engaged in combat with the Ukrainian Armed Forces 82nd Airborne Brigade and 71st Jager Brigade. These units had broken through the first line of trenches. The same units had been trained in NATO methods in EU countries using NATO equipment and weapons. Intense trench fighting began and turned into hand-to-hand combat. Abandoning the unsuccessful tactic of advancing in large columns, the enemy transported its assault groups to the front in armored vehicles in sequence. These groups immediately engaged the participants in combat. 2 weeks later, the enemy was driven out of the trenches. The video shows soldiers from the 234th Guards Airborne Division.
Да, отлично, гранаты кидают, отлично.
The Ukrainian Armed Forces mined their logistical routes with mines over 45 years old, while withdrawing from the Donetsk regions. This was reported by an engineer with the call sign Cairo, who is part of the Southern Forces Group.
Посмотри, запись пошла?
Да.
The Russian armed forces raided Ukrainian shelters in the early hours of the morning and took several Ukrainian soldiers prisoner. They then safely evacuated the soldiers from the area. They were interrogated. The soldiers stripped down to their underwear when they surrendered. This was because they could have been carrying weapons or sharp objects. Russian soldiers did this to protect themselves. Share your thoughts in the comments.
Что там, нормально, без потерь?
Ну, пока уходили, с нашей стороны не было. У них минус один. Это же будет там, нахуй. Что у тебя там за часы? Ну-ка, покажи-ка.
Все, готово, давайте.
Что остальные?
Что за лычки там?
Лычка офицерская, говорит.
Чья лычка офицерская?
Старшего солдата.
Старший солдат. Ладно, разберемся. Подъем, руки вверх, идем аккуратно по тропе. Только в ритме вальса, что могут прилеты быть.
The neutralization of a Ukrainian Armed Forces Pu-34 UAV in the village of Korabelka, Kherson region, using FAB-1500. "14 28th Motorized Rifle Regiment soldiers on duty. Destruction of an enemy pickup truck in Kupiansk. It's as if the pickup driver opened the door to let the drone in. Write down your thoughts." A Mi-28NM struck the Ukrainian Forces Drone Control Center with a precision strike using an X-39 LMUR guided missile. Kupiansk direction. The cameraman and these 3 Ukrainian soldiers were caught under heavy bombardment from Russian artillery units. They couldn't leave their hiding place for even a second. Bombs were exploding non-stop. Soldiers from the 16th Special Forces Brigade are on duty. Another enemy SUV was destroyed near Kupiansk. Russian drones and artillery units destroyed buildings housing Ukrainian forces one by one. The resulting fires from the successive attacks were captured in this image. UAV operators belonging to the South Group are destroying temporary staging points and shelters of Ukrainian Armed Forces personnel in the Donetsk direction. The footage shows Russian operators performing precision calculations. Tanks, armored vehicles, and howitzers received by the Ukrainian armed forces from the west are being destroyed one by the Russians. The footage shows an armored personnel carrier being destroyed and reduced to scrap. You forgot your suitcase. Russian UAV operators destroyed enemy electronic warfare equipment using FPV drones via fiber optics.
Я ж говорю, помнишь, когда на Драмашском поле тянутся провода, эти волокна?
Kupiansk direction. Footage of the destruction of an ammunition depot belonging to the Ukrainian armed forces. Special forces and motorized riflemen affiliated with the Sever Group are destroying Ukrainian armed forces' firing positions in the border region. The footage shows Ukrainian armed forces mortar crews being destroyed near the settlements of Iskryskivshchina, Basovo, and Katnoye. An adrenaline-fueled chase between a Russian FPV drone operator and a Ukrainian soldier. What do you think it feels like to be chased by a drone loaded with ammunition? Sumy direction. Near the village of Nadyarna, Rubicon unit aircraft-type FPV drones struck a gas distribution station that receives, discharges, and stores gas. UAV operators attached to the Ivanovo Airborne Forces unit are destroying Ukrainian armed forces equipment near the village of Chernovoy, close to Chasiv Yar. The enemy continues its attempts to attack Russian positions using military equipment and personnel. UAV reconnaissance units are daily detecting the movement of enemy equipment towards our forward positions and the landing of Ukrainian armed forces units in a wooded area near Chasiv Yar. Parachute UAV operators are also freely hunting enemy equipment and ambushing motor vehicles carrying personnel. Unique images. Chinese air defense missile shoots down meteor, preparing for an alien invasion. Su-34 bomber aircraft on the front line continue to support infantry in Volchansk, attacking not only with bombs, but also with precision-guided missiles. Orlan operators provided laser guidance for Kh-38 missiles, which once again precisely destroyed enemy positions. Don't forget to join our Telegram group. Drone operators belonging to the North Group are destroying enemy vehicles using FPV drones. Eastern forces are destroying all pickup trucks belonging to Ukrainian forces on the road in the 5th Army region. Today, Ukrainian forces' logistics suffered a heavy blow. Northwest of Pokrovsk, an American Max Pro armored vehicle was destroyed on the M30 highway. A few small Russian FPV drones loaded with ammunition are enough to destroy NATO's and the US's expensive armored vehicles. How do you assess this situation? How do you evaluate the fact that small, fast, and light drones loaded with ammunition can destroy expensive and heavy armored vehicles? Share your thoughts in the comments. Counter-operations by Russian UAV operators. Duran-2 flew to visit Ukrainian armed forces UAV operators detected near the village of Doroshenkove.